conflict, Africa, destiny of Africa, and so on and so forth. And I wanted to start with this, just to cast it in a spatial, that will, throw a specific flavor on the time we are going to spend together. Also, talking about conceptual framework, okay? That's the second document I wanted to share with you. And it's important, and it's actually going to lead me to my, okay? A long, long time ago, 1999, I did what many of you, if not all of you, are going to do someday, is to write a doctoral dissertation. Because it's useful to have a PhD. You make a little bit more money. And you are somehow, you get 2 letters dot in front of your name that, make you seem more respectable, okay? When I was writing my doctoral dissertation, I had to handle tons and tons of documents, and I became saturated. And at some point, I understood the need. What I'm doing here is to, like I said, put the discussion in a certain context. You can send one to the backer, so I made 20 copies, okay? I needed, well, you know that I write in French, of course. It doesn't take much to notice that English is a foreign language to me. It's not my first, not second, third, neither fourth language. But anyways, so it's still in French, but I can translate real quick what it is all about. I realized, last time, you remember when we discussed the notion of a thesis? A thesis is a written document, but I'm an African, I'm not, well, I have become, but I don't know. There's a conflict within me about how much of an African I am now. And there's a proverb in my country that goes, you can leave a tree trunk as long as you want in the pond. It will never turn into a crocodile. I'm extremely westernized, extremely. But a tree trunk's, journey or sojourn in a pond doesn't turn it into a crocodile, never ever. So, of course, I had a thesis like all my colleagues, but I needed something more visual, something more tactile. African people and people of African descent, they are very tactile. They need to see and feel things. You know why we dance so often in Africa and so much, and why we actually enjoy dancing much more barefooted than with shoes on? It's because when we do so, any excuse is good to dance. It is a way of trying to get in touch, physical touch, with the pulsation of the earth. If we acknowledge this thing, that one certainty we have is that we come from the earth and will return to the earth, literally. So, again, this helped me a lot. I had to write 400 pages. Well, it became 400 pages. But this is very simple. I needed to know what I was doing. My topic was mythology, rituals, and the never-fading social consciousness of the individual, okay? As an individual, whether you want it or not, you are always producing reactions to what the messages that society sends you. I happen to believe that mythology is an excellent place, to kind of identify where is the, what are the trigger points that are more useful. That's why Campbell, I look at him as a demigod, maybe as a god, theory. At any rate, see, this is maybe, the idea maybe is stolen from Leonardo da Vinci's, not maybe, yes, maybe, I don't know, I didn't do it consciously, but it's maybe stolen from da Vinci's Universal Man. And what is at the periphery, at the circumference of the circle, is the direction of history. In what direction is history going? You know that there's a debate, and please interrupt me if you think of any. As I speak, there are things happening in your mind. Because Jules is right in front of me, I can see the glare in his eyes that I'm speaking. He's not only, allowing his brains to welcome what I say, I have the impression that you think as you listen, which makes perfect sense. I would love to hear what is happening, because from where I am, I can hear actually the click, click, click in your brain cells. So please, verbalize all that, okay? Thank you. All right. But you know, and I've told you about the contradictory approaches to history and the human adventure. Maybe that's a lovely title, the human adventure. Some people, religious-based belief, they believe in the accumulation. Well, the religious point of view is maybe the fall of man. We started in the perfection of the Eden Garden, and since then we've been screwing up until, with the help of the nuclear age, we're going to blow up the planet and it's over. Okay, but that might happen, with spicing effect of the second coming of Jesus. When Jesus comes, all that is going to be even sexier in nature. You know, science believes that every new day is a day of progress, doesn't it? Well, most non-Western cultures, they believe that history is just an endless repetition. There's nothing new under the sun, you know, repetition of cycle. So the direction of history, if I view it with my strong traditional Africa-based influence, to me, history is the endless repetition of cycles. And that's how to understand these loops in the cycle, you know. I have these black dots in the inside circle. What, in French, sens de l'histoire, it means direction of history. Sens, it means, what is the direction of history? I don't know, it goes this way, that way, okay, progress, recession, stagnation, you name it. These are notions that you are familiar with, I believe. Now, in the second circle, you see these dots. These dots, to me, are very important. History progresses in endless repetition of cycles, but there are some times where some particular event, they kind of crystallize the possibility of going this way or that way. So these black dots, in my stupid mind, actually I have a legend in here, I think. Number one, what does it say? Événement historique. Yeah, it's a historical event. Like in the 1960s, you know that, in the 1960s, almost all African countries got independent from colonial rule. Well, that's a black dot. That's a black, it's a new deal, literally. Okay? What is the new deal in the history of your country? What happened?
It's a time of reform.
Yes, who did those reforms?
Roosevelt.
Excellent. What was the main characteristic of those reforms?
Social welfare.
Despite all the self-professed, you know, beliefs in free enterprise and limited government, after the Great Depression, you know, FDR understood the necessity of fueling a great measure of socialism in your country, you know. Actually, Social Security was created. It is at the antipode of everything you believe in, you know, as a capitalist pro-market society. The Tennessee Valley Authority, the government owned and managed an energy company. I mean, that's an insult to capitalism and so on and so on. So, New Deal. So, if you want to understand these black dots, I think Africa, again, you know this curse. There's a curse that says, may you live in interesting times. I think for all of us, that curse has materialized. We live in very interesting times. And in Africa, maybe even more so. Anyways, okay, so the number one, it says événement historique. What does number two say, for those of you who speak French? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, beginning or the end of a cycle, and then finally, within man. See, that's what makes. Okay, have you guys ever seen an animal crying in front of a beautiful landscape? Like your dog or your cat, you take him to the Grand Canyon, and you peer above the canyon, and you start weeping because you are overwhelmed by this grandiose spectacle, I would say, by this sublime spectacle. What's the last time you heard this word? See, this is a word that we have scratched off our vocabulary. Why? Interesting question. But again, today I want to be an African. I want to, you know, this is like, you know what the palaver tree is? And we put our asses on benches and they start talking and talking and talking and talking. Okay, so I'm yet to see somebody interrupt me because this is too school-like still. But have you ever seen an animal crying because he sees something sublime? No. We human beings, we have this capacity of being the matrix of time and matter. You know, we are somehow time and how did I express that then? This is old stuff. Yes, conscience. Maybe that's the right word. We have a conscience of things. Okay, Joseph Campbell talked of consciousness. Actually, he talked of not only consciousness, but the transformation of the consciousness. You remember that? He thinks that life is about, and mythology, modern other discipline, has the ability to catch that. Life should be about. I remember seeing some of you laughing when he said, you know, Bill Moyers asked him, well, this is very neat intellectual constructions, but I don't think it does affect our daily lives, our citizens of this country. And he answered, you bet it does. And most of you, they burst out laughing, rightfully so. You bet it does. So what is different from our species to all other species is somehow, some way, you know, we are the matrix of time and the focal point of consciousness. That's what I think. And so I want to allow myself very immodestly, yes, Emily.
So I'm looking at your diagram, and I'm seeing like the humans sort of being able to like hold
And
points and
compass.
step on it. Are you saying that they have, like we have some sort of control over
Of
this
course,
spiral?
most evidently.
Okay.
Most evidently.
Can you talk about that?
Well, it's, you know, as I stand in front of you here, I'm going to be speaking about an African vision of conflict resolution in Africa. I mean, only my ability, you know, to say Africa and have something in mind and invite you to have something in mind, I mean, it means that our outreach, you know, it's, you know, from Cairo to Cape Town in South Africa, or from Mogadishu, Somalia to Dakar, Senegal, only the capacity in the fraction of a second to materialize that in Europe. That's what I'm trying to materialize with our immeasurable outreach of time and space. I think we are the only species that can do that. That's what I mean. But most definitely this I must have stolen from Leonardo da Vinci, you know. Because I think his universal man does the same, you know?
What does that have to do with like Thoreau and how he sort of had, I guess, like a little bit different idea of that, how he thought that nature, everything's nature and humans aren't really as important.
Yes. Well, remember, you know, Thoreau said himself, and that's something that is, of all he wrote in the World on Civil Disobedience, that phrase that I've quoted maybe a couple of times, there are no happier beings than those who freely enjoy a vast horizon.